Two companies control the world, and yet you don't know who they are. When we think of the most powerful companies in the world, we often think of Apple, Google, or Amazon. However, these companies are small potatoes compared to the two behemoths that are BlackRock and Vanguard. BlackRock and Vanguard are the two most powerful investment funds in the world, with over 15 trillion in assets under management, or roughly 5 times the GDP of France. So how do these two companies control the world? It's simple. Vanguard and BlackRock own shares in all the world's most powerful companies. They are the largest shareholders in Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. They are veritable financial monsters. The two of them own absolutely everything in pharmaceuticals, transport, banking, and the media. It's simple. Every time you do something, you make BlackRock and Vanguard richer. Look at TF1, you make Vanguard richer. You go on Instagram, you make BlackRock richer. You buy an iPhone, you make Vanguard richer. And the terrifying thing is that when you make Vanguard richer, you also make BlackRock richer, because the two companies are each other's largest shareholders.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just went live. I just want to show you guys. Since I was on live with you guys, here's 6 more flights. No, I'm sorry, 8 more flights right here. They have taken off. They are en route to Cheyenne Mountain to the Doomsday Bunker. There is a government, the Doomsday plane has taken off, was taken off 45 minutes ago, and there is a command and control plane. See it over here? There is a nuclear command and control plane that has been that just taxied and took off 22 minutes ago. So you guys, they're putting the government underground. Hey, what's up, guys?
We gave more money to
free energy movement. In 1997, he made tremendous strides in the technology. Before he could develop his first prototype, he fell out of a window. Dr. John Mullen, a nuclear physicist, used to work for McDonnell Douglas, one of the largest military contractors in the world. He died of arsenic poisoning in 2004. His girlfriend was originally a suspect, but she was found dead in her apartment shortly after. There are no more suspects, there is no investigation, there will be no trial. Dmitry Petronov invented a plasma battery that powered his home for 14 months. In 2010, he went to a bakery and was never seen again. Zachary Warfield was another inventor who developed his own plasma battery. Warfield visited Petronov to exchange information. That same year, Warfield died in a strange boating accident in Washington, D.C. Eugene Molov was a physicist and expert in cold fusion. He claimed he had a working prototype of a free energy device. In 2004, the day before he was to make a public announcement about his findings, he was beaten to death. Ari Dagos actually patented free energy technology based on the zero-point field. In 2007, he was about to get on a flight to meet investors who were going to fund his research. He was found dead in his car at the airport. Rory Johnson created a cold fusion laser-activated magnetic motor that generated over 500 horsepower. He planned a public demonstration of 4 vehicles equipped with this magnetron motor. The U.S. Department of Energy placed a restraining order on this technology preventing publication, and though in excellent health, he died unexpectedly soon after. Mark Tomian, a physicist, patented technology called a star drive, which uses zero-point energy, very similar to the ARV. In 2009, he developed a working prototype. Shortly after, he died from an unexpected cardiac event. His research is missing. Stan Myers developed a working engine that ran on water. In 1997, he died from what was officially reported as a cerebral hemorrhage. This happened while having lunch with 2 potential investors. His last words were, "I was poisoned." And remember I said that most of this episode comes from a documentary created by James Allen? He ruffled a lot of feathers doing his research, specifically at Lockheed Martin.
And so, I'm kind of mystified as why a lot more people haven't picked up on this and sort of hammered on Lockheed or Grumman or whoever to say, are you guys really doing this? I actually called a spokesman at Lockheed and asked her straight up. I'm like, so what's going on with your electrogravitics program? And she's like, well, we're not at liberty to discuss those programs. And I'm like, really, why not? And she's like, well, it might threaten our competitive advantage. And I really wish I'd gotten that on film or tape. Because my next documentary, Tom, are you listening? I want to do a investigative documentary on specifically on anti-gravity in the aerospace industry.
Oh, I can't wait to see that new documentary. This kid is a hero.
Was a hero.
Oh, you gotta be f***ing kidding me.
While still editing the film, before it was even released, James Allen was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. He was dead in 3 months.
I'm so angry right now.
That interview clip I showed was from 6 weeks before his cancer diagnosis. Did he look sick to you?
No, he did not.
Autopsy results revealed an unbelievably aggressive tumor that usually occurs in patients with cancer for years, not weeks. And his blood contained 12 heavy metals and radioisotopes at toxic levels. Manganese, beryllium, thorium, and uranium were found in his blood. James Allen never got to see his documentary released. And his next film, which would expose anti-gravity technology being pursued by military contractors, now, that would never happen.
This is a bunch of these government companies doing the When are we going to stand up and something about these
Yeah, I know. Even Mark McCandlish was afraid.
You've actually heard a couple different stories about people being shut down when they're trying to implement this.
Or killed. Yeah. I mean, there's many times I lay awake at night with my 9mm under my pillow, loaded, and I wonder why they haven't killed me. I honestly do.
Well, at least he made it, right? Tell me he made it. Did he make it?
Well,
Oh, no.
this past April, Mark was found dead in his apartment.
Let me guess.
He took his own life. Yeah.
Something is happening.
It's all over the world. It's like somebody combined a virus with
The Armageddon Code.
When the next crisis hits, the elites are planning to freeze the financial system, and they'll replace it with a new system, one not based on the U.S. dollar. When that happens, we'll wake up to a very strange and disturbing new reality.
And for our viewers that are watching today, what might their reality look like that morning? How does this manifest?
First, they'll have gone to bed knowing that a massive financial crisis was underway. But when they wake up, they'll find it has worsened, and the contagion has spread worldwide. When they go to withdraw money, their ATM will say, closed temporarily. When they go to sell stocks, their account will say, transaction not available. When they go to their local business, that business will only accept cash if it's open. As citizens realize they're being barred from their money, riots will erupt. It's going to get really bad really quickly.
How would such a freeze actually work? And wouldn't that be highly illegal?
Well, it wouldn't be illegal technically because they've been quietly laying the groundwork for years.
It's late. It's almost 10 o'clock. I don't know. I think we've been at this for about 10 hours, and it's been a long day. We had a 22-vote series. Not complaining, just explaining why we're all a little bit haggard. But I tell you what, it's the issue that's really got us worn out. And I just genuinely wanted to ask a question of my colleagues here, because both of you are here in good faith, and I respect you as individuals. And I wanted to ask you a question of what my constituents asked me. Could the Democrats in charge, and certainly Democrats here with jurisdiction over the border, could they really be in favor of an open border? And I'm asking you honestly and in good faith. Can I ask, Mr. Chairman, you're from New York. Thanks to New York City's council, beginning January 9th, 2023, more than 800,000 non-citizens will be eligible to vote in municipal elections in New York. Do you agree with that policy?
No, non-citizens will not be eligible to vote in New York. They never have been. Well, they were in the 19th century eligible to vote in New York.
Well, no, this is a recent action. It was just passed in December.
No, that is not correct. Non-citizens have not been eligible to vote in New York or, as far as I know, in any other state since the 19th century.
That's not true. The New York City Council voted in December to allow this. It begins January 9, 2023. Cities in Vermont and Maryland already allow this, and similar measures are under consideration in Illinois, Maine, and Massachusetts right now.
If the gentleman will yield?
Yes.
I believe those are considerations of allowing votes in municipal elections only.
Right, but thank you. That's the point. Everybody wants to know at home, why would they allow this? Guys, they're allowing it because they're going to turn them into voters. They already are doing this in New York City, largest city in America, and this is the plan of our friends on this side to turn all the illegals into voters. That's it, folks. That's what's going on. That's the game. That's why the border's open. That's why they've dropped it. Look, I respect Ms. Loughran and all her work in this arena. Yes, I'll yield, Mr. Chairman. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
As a New Yorker, I would love to think that New York is the entire country, but it is not. It is not, and consideration is being given to permitting non-citizens to vote in New York, and I believe in the capital city of Vermont. I forget which that is, but as much as I'd like to believe it, New York and Vermont are not the entire country.
But, Mr. Chairman, that's the whole point. This is what's going on, folks, at home. If you're trying to figure this out, if you're scratching your heads, you're seeing the video, you see droves of people, 2.4 million people coming over the border illegally, the president allowing, the Democrats in charge of Congress are allowing it. The deal is they're going to turn them into voters. You just heard it. They don't have any problem with that. They celebrate it. Here's the deal. We have a problem with it. The Constitution has a problem with it. American elections should be decided by American citizens. That's it. That's what this is about. That's why we're jumping up and down and screaming, my friends on the video who are commenting about this. That's why we're so upset, because our constituents are frightened that we are losing our country. We're losing our security, we're losing our sovereignty, because we're going to allow people from 160 different countries around the world to come in here and decide our elections. That's it. Here it is on record. You all heard it. I'm out of time. I yield.
Take a roll of toilet paper like this. Just take out the center cardboard piece, kind of push it together, put it down inside the can. Kind of gently pull that out of there. Okay, so this is basically going to be your wick, and then we'll just put it right in here. It should fit in pretty easily. Okay, just like that. Then all you do is take the isopropyl alcohol, I think 70% is the best overall, and fill it almost to the top in the can. So that's good right there. Took about half of one of these big bottles. Then you just light it up. It'll burn for a really long time. Time to put them out. That's it. Definitely heat a room with one or two of those. And very easy to make. Tin can, toilet paper, and alcohol. 3 things. This seems to be the best way to turn this into a stove easily. There's your stove. A couple other neat things about these, they're quiet, they're smokeless, and they put off a ton of heat. Can't even get that close to this one, it's really hot. Notice that the toilet paper's not being burned, just the alcohol's burning off the top, just like a wick would. After a while, the toilet paper might get a little singed, but it's working perfectly. Remember to put it out, just use a lid, slide it over top. That'll put it right out for you.
Joe Rogan may be the most popular broadcaster in the English-speaking world right now. Every episode of his podcast, called The Joe Rogan Experience, reaches about 11 million people, and some of the episodes get an audience many times that. How many people is that? It's a lot. For perspective, last night, CNN's highest-rated show had a little over 700,000 viewers total. So Joe Rogan is big, and unlike CNN, he's not especially political. His show covers pretty much everything: comedy, science, nutrition, the paranormal, recreational drug use, exercise, mixed martial arts, music, Hollywood, and a huge range of other topics, often with guests you've never heard of. Rogan is not a reactionary, unlike most people in the media. He doesn't think he already knows everything. He's genuinely curious, and so he lets his guests speak. His longest interview lasted for more than 5 hours, which was the stand-up comedian. When Rogan does talk about politics, it's pretty clear he's not an ideologue. He interviews everybody, liberals and conservatives, as well as a lot of people like Mike Tyson, who could be either one. And he does it most of the time with respect and self-deprecation. He's not an expert on politics. He's not pretending to be one. Rogan just asks questions, and he notes the obvious. It's this last quality that makes the people in charge hate and fear Joe Rogan. If you're trying to sell an absurd, obviously untrue idea, it is possible that Joe Rogan's going to call you on it. Not because he's a partisan, he's not, but because he just can't help but notice. That's the secret.
Wait until the end. Trust me.
Travel warning to all countries.
I'm gonna tell you something that maybe no one else wants to tell you, maybe no one else has the balls to tell you, but I'm gonna lay it out for you. The United States is on the wrong side of history. Okay? We're not the good guys. And I know a lot of people want to say, hey, you know, this is the country that you were born in, this is your people, this is your nation. And I mean, yes, that is true, all of them. You know, this is the country I was born in. All of these people are, you know, my neighbors, my companions, my friends, my coworkers, they're my people, this is my nation. All of those are correct statements. But the government and the people in power do not represent the general public. Not in this nation, and not in any of its allies. We have had the luxury of living with mediocre violence for the past 100 years, almost. Dang near 100 years. Meanwhile, we've rampaged across the Middle East. We've rampaged across Africa. We've rampaged across South America in wars that you're not even taught about in history, in military occupation that you'll never even read about in the textbooks. We adopted Nazi principles into our government post-World War II, and we've essentially carried on their prospect of world domination. The countries that we support are for ethnic cleansing of entire people. The countries that we give weapons to and money and aid are for destroying entire nations, entire cultures, for oppressing them, for destroying them. And they're mostly for monetary gain in the outcome. Because of course ethnic people and people in their, you know, their homelands aren't wanting the United States to pillage them for all of their natural resources. But that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been doing. And we've had the luxury of avoiding that violence, holding our dead children in our arms because of military weaponry that was made in the United States and sold to terrorists. Like, we've had the luxury of living in peace and prosperity, although it be hard for a lot of people. But trust me, we are the rich, right, who say that they are poor. Okay? And I want you to understand that we are going to have to suffer. Okay? That's how things balance out. We are the untouchable nation that's been slowly penetrated over the past 6 months to a year and a half by our adversaries. We're the sleeping giant full of individuals who are too pacified to stand up and act against a tyrannical government. And whatever happens in the coming days because of our government's actions overseas is our own doing. It's our own fault. It's your inactivity. It's my inactivity. It's everybody around us. It's our general lack in our community involvement. It's the overwhelming urge to chase money that has led us to this perpetual system of hate, greed, and self-pleasure, to the point where we're going to absolutely get devastated in an invasion that we will never see coming, and our families will suffer because of it. Whether or not it's from globalist elites, it's from Iran, it's from North Korea, it's from Russia, it's from China, it doesn't matter who it's from. The thing is we had it coming.
Something's happening. Something's happening that we're not talking about. You know that there's a big rift going on the Democratic side of things and boycotts. I mean, we boycotted some of these for different reasons, but, you know, go on with your bad selves. Did you know these articles were being written, like, by everyone, every day? Progressive Representative Pramila Jayapal warns Biden his response to Israel will cost him the support from the Arab and Muslim voters in 2024. I want to caveat this by saying that these two groups of people have been at war for long time. It's just now becoming a mainstream thing. Just a year before the presidential election. Because let's be really honest, a month ago, the majority of the people that are standing with Palestine couldn't find Palestine on a map. And I'm not hating, but you know it's true. Why now? Why now is it the West's problem? Why now are we supposed to see all the atrocities coming out of the Middle East? The Middle East has been a mess since Trump left. Why now, exactly 12 months before our 2024 election? Many of you thought it was to cancel the 2024 election for Congress to formally declare war and then cancel the election. But the more and more that I'm watching this, I don't see that happening. I just don't. There isn't a country out there dumb enough to try and invade the U.S. We didn't even formally declare war after 9/11, and we could have, but we didn't. Why we didn't is a whole nother video. But we should have. We're not going to do it now either. Because what's happening isn't for us. Just on and on and on and on and on and on. Actually, I don't know who this guy is, but no. Half of the Democrats want to stand with Israel. The other half feel the need to stand with Palestine. Or Hamas, I guess. And it just keeps going. There's an old saying that goes, wars win election. And how Joe Biden handles this will be his determining factor as to whether or not he wins the 2024 election. And he's standing with Israel, which the majority of his voter-aged base is not. These are the big three that they're boycotting, but they've also added in CNN and the majority of mainstream media. Bloomberg, BBC, CNN, Fox News Politics, Disney. I mean, again, it's for entirely different reasons, but yeah, boycott the shit out of them. Hollywood's not immune to this either. The Hollywood people are the most hypocrites on the planet. They were so concerned about the Ukrainian children, but didn't care about the Palestinians because they didn't think brown people's lives mattered. Please boycott them. To be fair, they rose to fame by sexually exploiting children anyway, so. But you know what? Yep, boycott them all. Every single last one of them. Again, for different reasons that a lot of you really didn't believe, but I'm pretty sure are true. But it doesn't matter. The goal is the same. Boycott the shit out of them. I heard Tyson should be on the list too. That true? Are they on the list? Oh, no? No. But they should be. They want us eating bug. So let's do a hypothetical. Let's say it comes down to Joe Biden and Donald Trump for the 2024 election. So it's Joe Biden, who has historically said that he would stand with Israel and send multiple aid packages to Israel and the IDF in order to defend themselves against Hamas. Donald Trump, who also said that Israel deserves to defend itself and stands with Israel, but rode his rise to fame on his peace dealings in the Middle East and is committing to do it again, which is your only out. That's it. You want to save the people of Palestine? You have to push for peace, which you've been doing because you've been calling for a ceasefire. And Trump has a record of being able to facilitate that. Would you be able to swallow your pride and vote for Donald Trump in order to save the Palestinian people? Or are you going to continue to vote for Joe Biden, who is going to send aid over to Israel in terms of financial and more weapons? You're going to have to draw your line in the sand. And what got me thinking about this was Elon Musk's post, which I can't get a pulse on that guy just yet, but I do believe he plays an intricate part in all of this. And he posted yesterday that the Great Awakening from the woke has happened. This is good for civilization. Damn.
I'm just going, fuck. Is this the last days of normal civilization?
Yeah.
Because every movie where, we ascend into the apocalypse or descend into the apocalypse, that's how it starts. It's like, there's normal life, dropping your kids off at school, bye honey, I love you. And then hours later, sirens, bombs, powers off, no water, no food. People are struggling. It's just like, if nuclear bombs start going off, the world will be unrecognizable. We will be right back to barbaric Stone Age monsters in a matter of months, a matter of weeks, days even. There's no power, no food, no nothing. There's the fucking border's been invaded by hundreds of thousands of illegals. How many of them are militants? How many of them have snuck in across the border and are forming terror cells? We don't know. I mean, that's the giant fear.
That's for sure happening.
For sure.
There's no doubt.
For sure.
I read this thing that there's like 6 to 10 million people that came across the southern border in the last 4 to 5 years. That's as many people that live in New York City. and then like a crazy increase in people coming across the northern border.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Like, and I see it. I've been in California a lot the last few months. It's insane how many more people are just obviously all of a sudden just appearing, like getting dropped off on like street corners with buses, literally just in the middle of nowhere. They literally just get off the bus with a cell phone.
But look at New York City. When Cuomo was explaining how New York City
Yeah.
literally has a mandate to house its homeless.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be the people that lived there that were down on their luck. And now it's people that have come in from other cities or other countries rather, illegally. And they're trying to make it so that those people can vote. And you see what they're doing with people from Venezuela?
Crazy.
They're sending people back from Venezuela.
Only from Venezuela.
Yeah, because Venezuela opposes socialism, so they're not going to vote Democratic.
Yeah.
They don't want those people.
That's crazy.
This is fucking wild.
It's crazy how it's so odd. Like when you start thinking about it like that, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's like totally political. All these moves.
100%.
Yeah.
They're literally importing Democratic voters.
Yeah.
They think by allowing the borders to be porous and by giving people aid and giving people housing that you're essentially guaranteeing that if you can rig it so that those people are allowed to vote, those people are going to vote Democratic. And if you could say that, oh, voter ID is racist, like what? Voter ID is racist.
That's crazy they think that.
But
they don't think that. They don't think that. They know that that's not true.
It's horseshit.
Yeah.
It's all political horseshit. But that's unfortunately the level of discourse that we have today, especially with all the virtue signaling on social media and all the people clamoring to prove that they're the most progressive and the most open-minded and equitable, and we're all down for inclusivity and like
yeah,
bro.
There's going to be repercussions to all that for sure.
I didn't say it. I just watched it. But you watched it too. And now you thinking it too. We thinking it. Ooh.
It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets. And they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game. Sad when 150 of the most powerful men and women in the world can meet in secret in Baden-Baden, Germany, and plot the fate of billions, and nobody even cares about it. But 6 football players go to lunch together, and it's in the headlines across the country. We have a reflection of the society in which that exists. And it is a sick, sick society that is doomed to self-destruction. I'm trying to wake up a people who on a daily basis are proving the ones that I'm warning them about to be right.
Well, we are watching World War III unfolding right before our eyes. This afternoon, Germany says, well, we need to prepare for war across Europe. So that's great news. And just a few hours ago, take a look at your screen here, new video emerged showing the amassing of hundreds of Israeli armored vehicles and tanks ready for the ground invasion of Gaza. Just look at this. Just look at this. You know, when people say, oh, you know, Israel doesn't have a lot of tanks. Okay. That's a lot of tanks. That's a lot of armor preparing to go in there. And, of course, what are they ready to do? They are ready to, of course, carry out the total destruction of Gaza. That's exactly what they're doing for the ground invasion. They're going to roll over everything. And right now, the United Nations actually says that women and children account for 70% of all of those killed in Gaza. 70% since the conflict began. Women and children account for about 70% of those killed in the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the escalation of the conflict, according to the United Nations. And yesterday, the United Nations voted against a ceasefire. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says no to a ceasefire. So no peace is coming. And
now, could you imagine, just imagine for 1 second, if this is what Russia was doing, we would be attacking them tomorrow. If they were doing this and they started a ground force of this magnitude into Ukraine, the United States would be in there. Why are we not going into Israel? We're pretty much backing this.
No, these are American weapons. These are American weapons that are being used. These are American bombs that are being used. You heard the Raytheon earnings call that I played for you the other day, where Raytheon admitted that the Israeli incursion in Gaza is good for business. So, of course, they're not going to do anything about that. Yesterday, of course, as I mentioned, the United Nations voted against a ceasefire. So, and the Pope has called for a ceasefire. It's not going to happen. Just about 3 hours ago, Iranian-backed Houthi rebels declared war on Israel. So we have that layer now added into this. The Houthi military spokesman says they are going to rain down large numbers of missiles and drones on Israeli cities, promising the attacks will not stop, they say. Listen.
عن القوات المسلحة اليمنية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال تعالى فلا عدوان إلا على الظالمين صدق الله العظيم لليوم 25 يشهد العالم ما يجري في فلسطين المحتلة وما يتعرض له قطاع غزة من عدوان إسرائيلي أمريكي غاشم حيث المجازر اليومية والإبادة الجماعية والدمار الشامل والحصار الخانق كل ذلك أمام مرأى ومسمع العالم وبدعم أمريكي غربي لا محدود للكيان المجرم ثم ما يلاقيه قطاع غزة من ضعف النظام الرسمي العربي.
So, oops, sorry about that. He also blasted the United States for funding Israel's butchering in Gaza. Intense fighting is also coming from the tunnels underneath Gaza, where Hamas fighters are launching rocket attacks at Israel. RT actually got some unbelievable access and sent a reporter into the massive underground caves. I just want you to watch a few moments of this, because you're not going to see this on CNN. Here's a reporter going into the massive underground cave structures. Watch.
Sorry, there's no audio.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the audio is missing for some reason, but it says the walls are made of cement in addition to the arched ceilings. These tunnels are have a lot of strength. Look how massive these are. He says the floor is also generally made of cement. And look, do you see how far down he went into these caves? I mean, unbelievable. He said all military activities come from these places, the group confirms. And he says they are highly prepared to deter Israel, says the member of the Hamas unit that gave them this tour. I'm actually really surprised that they would show this. An attack on tunnels that includes brigade members from segments of society, equivalent to a basic mission completed by infiltrating behind enemy lines missions. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, think about how far down this is. And you can just see like the reinforced walls and the cement structures. Of course, Israel says they've been bombarding these, but they're so far down that they're not causing any damage, it seems. And as Israeli sources have told me, they absolutely do not want to go near these tunnels because they know these tunnels like the back of their hand, and it would be an absolute bloodbath on the part of Israel. Israeli soldiers being destroyed, dealing with booby-trapped tunnels, and it would just be an absolute disaster. So that's what's underneath Gaza right now. Meanwhile, what's going to happen in Egypt? The Israeli plan, of course, leaked last week, has now been spread out all over the place. It's kind of an amazing leak of a document from the Israeli intelligence plan, which is to push 2.3 million people out of Gaza into Egypt. So here is the plan. An Israeli minister in a concept paper proposes transferring Gaza civilians to Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. And as we talked about yesterday in an interview with Scott Ritter, he said, this would be an act of war. I mean, what Egypt would say is that this is an act of war. Watch.
Well, first of all, the move into Egypt, I believe, is a non-starter. I think that's an act of war. Egypt would view it as an act of war. And, Hamas doesn't have any tanks. Egypt has hundreds of them, modern tanks. And they have 2 divisions that are being brought up to combat readiness on the Sinai. If Israel really does want to commit suicide, this is one really good way to do it, because if Egypt sends 600 tanks into the Negev, Israel's got no response.
So Egypt won't stand for it. But why are they building a field hospital on the Egyptian side? This is in northern Egypt, right near the Rafah border crossing. According to the Turkish press this afternoon, Egypt is building this large field hospital near the border. So they're anticipating something. I mean, shit is hitting the fan as we speak, and sort of moment-to-moment updates. We'll have more on this in tomorrow's show. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.
So the black market, or whatever you want to call it, once you're connected to the dark web, Tor, the onion router, what I was explaining before, you still need to know where to go to visit these horrible websites. And they're like, imagine a very long string of letters and numbers, and the website, instead of .com, it'd be .onion. You can't visit those websites in a regular browser. You have to do that while you're connected to the onion router, which you could download at the TOR's website. And then you could go to a thing called like the Hidden Wiki, and the Hidden Wiki will show you all different categories of these websites with a link to them. And there's marketplaces, there's horrible things on there, like you said, for kids, and even like murder for hire. There's counterfeit money, there's fake IDs. There are all kinds of different websites that do horrible things.
What is the onion router?
So the onion router is a tool, an open source project that was created to anonymize your traffic on the internet. And it decentralizes, I believe decentralized would be the word for it, your internet traffic. It keeps you anonymous beyond a VPN. I would still recommend that you use a virtual private network on top of Tor if you want to be anonymous, but it's just a layer of security that's free, and it keeps it's like, for example, let's say you use Comcast for your internet service provider. They could see that you're using Tor, but they can't see what you're looking at. If you use a VPN and then you use Tor, they can only tell you're using a VPN, but they can't tell you're using Tor. So it's just an internet within an internet.
So can I check my email through the dark web?
Yes, you can go to any website.
Would you recommend using the dark web to just do regular?
It's slow as hell.
Internet stuff.
It's very slow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could, and it would keep you safer, but it's not a foolproof way to keep yourself safe, and it's painstakingly slow.
Okay. Do you use the dark web?
For investigations, yeah.
What kind of investigations?
For like the predator and pedophile cases, yeah.
So are you able to track these guys down from the dark web, even though they're technically anonymous?
A lot of times it doesn't need to go that far. A lot of times these guys will use their regular emails, or they'll use an IP address that's been, they'll reuse for multiple emails, or their face that they're using as their profile picture. I can, find them from the same way I just found your face. Or they're using a phone number that traces right back to them. The dark web, it's not really a huge part of catching predators and pedophiles. One thing, I guess the only thing on the dark web, quote unquote, I hate that word, but the dark web, quote unquote, that I had access to was when I originally hacked the website that we're going to talk about. They branched out to have not only a website on the ClearNet, on the regular internet, but their website was mirrored on the dark web. And I had 3 back doors in their system, and it branched out over to the dark web. So I had a back door on the dark web too, which was kind of a cool thing to have, because I needed to be connected to Tor, the Onion router, to connect to my back door. But that was I was only using that back door to exfiltrate data every single day, which was just user information, because I didn't want to get their posts or anything. I didn't want to be in possession of anything horrible that they were sending each other. But their user info was enough for us, as I'm sure you'll learn.
It takes God to change a man's heart. You know, that's why the ultimate miracle of all miracles is not raising someone from the dead, it is changing someone's heart. Because the Lord Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. Do you know Lazarus has 2 graves? One in Israel and the other one is in Cyprus. Because the one whom the Lord raised from the dead first died again. He died again, and he's got another grave in Cyprus. Do I call this a miracle? No, even though it's a mighty miracle. But what is the point if this miracle ended up with being dead once again? But what is the ultimate miracle of the Lord, which he gave Lazarus a new heart? He changed his heart. When a man's heart is changed, that man will never die. Will never die. When God changes your way of thinking, when God changes inside and out of you, when you look next time at the world, you see it in a different way. You have never ever seen it or experienced it before. Now this is life, when God changes you, my beloved.
Candle makers don't want you to know that. You will never need to buy a single candle at the market again after this tip. That's right, folks. In addition to never having to buy a candle again, this will leave your home super fragrant. So first, get a glass container or canning jar. Okay, I'm using this one, but you can use any container as long as it's glass. So first, we're going to need some coarse salt. Go ahead and add a thick layer of about 2 fingers. Let me put it here. Check it out, folks. Just like this. All right, this is going to be our foundation, okay? Now let's go ahead and add some lime slices. I'm using 1 whole lime for this, as you can see. Go ahead and place them in. And now we need water. Add water until the lime is covered, leaving a space of about 2 fingers as well. Now, I'm going to put some cloves, too. I like it because it's very good for scaring away insects, and it has a pleasant aroma. I'll just go ahead and add a handful of them here. I'm also going to add cinnamon sticks here, which also have a very pleasant smell. And I'm going to finish adding some eucalyptus essence, just a little. And folks, feel free to replace any or all of these ingredients. If you want to put rose petals, sunflower, orange peels instead, go ahead and do it. Get creative, because here you're giving the aroma to your lamp so you can customize it. And now we're going to complete with some fill for our lamp. In this case, we're using vegetable oil. You can use any type of oil for this, including use it cooking oil, so just go ahead and top up with oil. And as everybody already knows, water and oil don't mix, so the oil is not going to mix with the water, and will stay on top, and this is going to be the... And now for the next step, you need a little piece of plastic, and for this, I cut out the bottom of a plastic cup. If you have those glass bottle caps, you can also use them instead. And we're going to also need a piece of string. This will be our wick, and here's what you're going to do. Bend the string like this. Make a small hole in the plastic, and then pass the string through the hole, and here at the bottom, leave a point on each side like this. Now just go ahead and place a wig carefully in this position. All right, folks? Let's go ahead and light it up. And here's the thing. Why do I call it infinite? Because the water we added will always remain in the container. What will end up here is always the oil. So when you notice the volume of oil reducing here, just go ahead and add some more. And buddies, that's why this is our infinite candle. This amount of oil we added here will keep you lit for almost 1 whole day. In addition to leaving a very pleasant smell, of course. So it's very nice. So that's it, folks. When the lights go out, no more candles. Try this instead in your house. In addition to leaving a very fragrant, it will scare away any insects because of the cloves. And it also makes a very nice decoration item.
Can I please go live in the woods for free? What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, I just want to go live in the woods. Like, I can't do this. You're asking me to sell you my entire life just to live with air conditioning? Like, I can't. You made me spend 18 years in school jail. No. The fuck do you mean? It's the woods. I don't care if I croak. I don't care what happens out there. I just want to go live in the woods. Like, yeah, no. What if I go really far? Yeah, we're gonna log that. We'll send men with
Bottle
guns,
rocket.
kidnap you and put you in a cage, okay? Don't fucking try it. Okay, fuck. So I live on the streets? That would be illegal. To exist on the streets? What are you, a vagrant? I didn't ask to be born. Shut the fuck up. Okay, well, I'm lucky that there's a creek where I exist. But you can't really drink it. You could drink it if you were inside. The water? Okay, and I'm kind of fucking hungry because none of the trees make fruit. You wouldn't let me do the woods thing. There's nowhere for me to grow a garden. You want me to pay you to catch a fish? Our fish. Okay, is this a forced labor camp? No. No. Okay, so I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink water, and you're forcing me to sell my time and my work to other people in order to exist without you kidnapping me and putting me in a cage. Is that correct? Okay. It sounds like a forced labor camp. What are you gonna do about it? Didn't you say something about inalienable rights? Those words ring a bell. That's cute, yeah. You paid attention.
This is no fucking joke. I would do the same shit. You see these giant loaves of bread coming down the conveyor belt and you'd look like you couldn't give a single fuck sleeping on the job. And you know what? If I had to do the same exact thing every single day, I would do the same shit. I would lose my mind. It's kind of a nice sneak peek into quality control, though. If an AIDS needle happened to go by, you would not catch it. So we definitely need to check our shit. For undisclosed reasons, I can't tell, are your eyes closed or sleeping, or are they open? I'm having a hard time seeing. Also, why does only one person in the circumstance have a COVID mask on? Does she just think she's better than you, or does she think you're nasty? It's kind of fucked up and strange. What's up with my dude's headwear in the background? You can tell she's thinking hard and heavy about a vacation she's never gonna get. And that machine's squirting faster and more steady than your mom. She's currently operating on 3 hours of sleep on limited pay, and wishes so badly she could take a nice trip to Disneyland. I could tell by how much you have to touch these bars of soap that the palms of your hands smell fresh as fuck. India needs to get to making one of these factories pronto. Take a look at Slacky Chan here.
When people are being warned about what's happening right before their very eyes, and they're just shrugging it off and going about their daily lives. Y'all, they're projecting everything that they're doing, okay? Everything is projected. It doesn't just happen. Nothing is random. The guy on the East Coast who shot all those people just recently, our prayers are with them, it's not random, okay? I'm going to walk you through a few things right now real quick, and because I'm at the conference, the first annual Homesteading Life Conference Women's Retreat is well underway here tomorrow. So when you guys see this video, we'll be getting ready, staging and everything, and we're getting ready to welcome 100 people, ladies that is, to the event. And so I wanted to give you guys this information because things are going to start moving a little faster, and I just want you guys to be prepared in your best possible way. Okay? If you have a firearm, don't leave home without it. Don't go anywhere without your firearm right now. I don't care what any sign says or what anybody says, okay? Seconds matter, and the police are minutes away, okay? That's why you have your firearm. But listen, real quick, we're going to talk about a couple of videos that I found, and the first one is going to start off with projecting what they're going to be doing in the future. I ran across a Madonna song called The Future, and she put it out in 2019. Timing is everything with these folks. And basically, the song goes kind of like, not everyone is coming to the future. Not everyone is learning from the past. Not everyone can come into the future. Not everyone that's here is gonna last. And then they start handing out the JAB, and people are DIEDSUDDENLEY. I'll tell you why I'm doing that in a future video, like real soon. Okay? Please pay attention. Right now, I found a clip of the video because it was a very intriguing set of lyrics that we have here, and I found a video. And what you're gonna see, I'm gonna play it for you while I'm kind of describing it. But you're gonna see snake eyes coming down into a snake mouth. They're singing "Not Everyone's Coming Into the Future." You can go look the video up for yourself and watch the video. They march people up the stairs. They turn around and they fall backwards into the mouth of the snake. Okay. Also, they have people rolling around on the floor and, you know, doing some kind of crazy dancing with like a pig face on that's a gas mask. All right. All during the song, they're playing images of burning, you know, buildings, burning fires, just like Hawaii. During the video, they're also showing skeletons of building, kind of just like we're seeing in Gaza. All the time they're saying not everyone is going to make it to the future. Not everyone is going to survive. Okay? Now, as the snake face disappears, cities, okay, then they spin around, and now look, they're zeroing out of North America, and the East Coast is highlighted. Okay? The East Coast is highlighted. The Illuminati, if you believe this stuff, I'm just passing on what some people believe as far as Illuminati stuff, but they are projecting that this thing is going to pop off on the East Coast of America. Also, pay attention to where they're shipping all the immigrants right now. A lot of them are ended up in New York City and on the East Coast. Also, I was watching YouTube, like I do, and I ran across this video of a fellow who was being arrested because he was underneath a truck stealing a catalytic converter. Usually nothing to see here, folks. I just thought I would see how they caught him stealing the catalytic converter, but pay close attention to what he says as he's being arrested.
I got a taser and I will use it. You understand what I'm saying? I understand what you're fighting. Okay, relax. Don't move. You know the Russians are coming for you? The Russians are coming for me? They're coming for you, my friend. Yeah? You stupid. Okay, you're under arrest. You're under arrest. They're going to come for this arrest very soon. Very soon, your freaking door is going to collapse. And then they have nations all over the world, all dictators, and they got militias also. Understand? Very soon, America will be burned, according to the Bible. America is going to be burned. Understand? Let's see, the Russians, we're going to show the free, you know? All these advantages. Can you talk to the RP? I think so. You see them? Or to be back to the box. I see a 13. Just leave it. Let no one escape from Babylonia. It's a holy nation. It's a bitch. You know, the USA is a bitch. No, you don't have to be here. No, I'm here because I'm going to tell. God told me to tell you. Okay. To tell these stupid people that the Russians and the Chinese, you don't even know how this world works. Mm-hmm. You know the Jewish? The Russian Orthodox? Jewish? Sons of Russia? I'm saying his little brothers to China to make Chinese to pray for a while. Because they want to take on the West. The West is not run by America. It's run by the Jews. Okay, I'll just put it back up.
Now that's the word on the street. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's not MSN, that's not CNN, that's not anything. That's the word on the street. Okay? And they're waiting for the timing. That's it. Now, some of you folks might have woke up to the story that there was a mass shooter on the East Coast. It's all falling in line. Mass shooter on the East Coast with an AK-style weapon. He's a white military man. Here, I'll let you hear the rest of the psychological information that they're feeding you.
with multiple law enforcement agencies, that Card, the person of interest, is a trained firearms instructor with military experience, that he may have had mental health issues in the past, including hearing voices and threats in the past, and that he may have spent a couple of weeks in a mental health facility. His car, according to law enforcement sources who have been briefed, has been located, a white Subaru. He is not in it. They believe he fled on foot. Where he is at this hour is unknown.
Not everyone is going to the future. Not everyone is going to survive. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. But I'm just kind of watching things go, and as they go, it's getting clearer and clearer. Closer we get to the election, the more you're going to see things popping off. They're losing their grip, y'all. The internet, you know, was good for them, but it's also bad for them. People are sharing information, people are waking up, and things could get really bumpy. So all I'm trying to do is just bring awareness, maybe show you that there could be a plan out there to take us out, and we're just sitting here like low-hanging fruit. So all you guys be prepared out there, keep storing your food, get your preps in line, and stay in prayer. Make sure you're...
Man does black magic and makes money appear.
A man is going viral in Brazil after performing some sort of magic trick where loads of money actually appear out of nowhere. A lot of people on the internet are saying that this is actually not a magic trick, that this is more like dark magic or something like that. So I want you to pay very close attention and you tell me what you think is
Tu
really
não
going on
gastou
here.
dinheiro todo de ontem, tu ainda tem dinheiro pra beber?
Mr. N, né? Fazer o quê? Aqui, gastei,
Gastou
mas...
tudo.
Batei?
Gastou
Gastei,
tudo.
Né? Mas ainda tem papel aqui pra não fazer mais, ó. Vou tentar, né? Você vai fazer isso aqui, ó. E aqui não tem negócio de dedo não, viu, bichinho? Vamos tentar aqui fazer as notinhas aqui. Tem que fazer honey food. Estourando de água linda. Opa, tá começando. Fazer muito dinheiro. Ninguém no mundo faz isso. E aqui não tem negócio de corte, não. Aqui tem... É magia. Tá fazendo, tá indo.
Agora a mensagem é meu, que tu gastou ontem.
Olha, vamos lá fazer isso aí, ó. Tem 3 mil contas aqui. Sai, menino, sai.
A mensagem é
What
meu.
is going on here, guys?
Valeu.
By the way, this video is scripted and for entertainment purposes only. Stay weird.
This is not a time for panic, but it is a time for vigilance. We shouldn't stop conducting our daily lives, going to schools, houses of worship, and so forth, but we should be vigilant. You often hear the expression, if you see something, say something. That's never been more true than now, and that's probably partly why the American people are reporting more tips and leads to us, and we're pursuing those threats and leads as vigorously and responsibly as we can.
That is the FBI director who testified under oath this morning. He, along with the Secretary of Homeland Security, said since the war between Israel and Hamas began, the threats against Americans specifically have increased.
In the days and weeks since, we have responded to an increase in threats against Jewish, Muslim, and Arab American communities and institutions across our country.
The reality is that the terrorism threat has been elevated throughout 2023, but the ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole nother level.
Now, I am not trying to scare you with this information. That is never what I do. But I do believe it is important to share with you the very real threats our federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies are testifying to under oath in front of U.S. senators, which is exactly what happened this morning for more than 3 hours, and they did not mince words. They were there to testify about the need for Congress to approve the funding the president has asked for the southern border and for all the other programs the FBI, Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center needs to do their jobs. Funding, which in lots of cases is about to expire. And allowing that to happen, according to the FBI, would be the worst case scenario, especially right now.
Al-Qaeda issued its most specific call to attack the United States in the last 5 years. ISIS urged its followers to target Jewish communities in the United States and Europe. Hezbollah has publicly expressed its support for Hamas and threatened to attack U.S. interests in the Middle East.
And we've seen an increase in attacks on U.S. military bases overseas carried out by militia groups backed by Iran. Here in the United States, our most immediate concern is that violent extremists, individuals or small groups, will draw inspiration from the events in the Middle East to carry out attacks against Americans going about their daily lives.
You heard the witnesses testifying at the beginning of this video about the escalating threats to Jewish, Arab, and Muslim Americans, but by far, the FBI director says the Jewish community in this country is disproportionately being targeted.
2.4% of the American public, 60% of religious-based hate crimes. They're getting it from racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, ISIS-inspired violent extremists, foreign terrorist organizations, whether they be Sunni like Al-Qaeda or ISIS, or Shia like Hezbollah. And so this is a group that has the outrageous distinction of being uniquely targeted, and they need our help.
The FBI director outlined all the things his agency is doing to put a stop to these types of threats, including arresting those who are threatening to harm Americans. He says that, of course, will continue, but he encourages Americans to also keep their heads on a swivel.
But across the country, in each and every one of the FBI's 56 field offices, we are addressing these threats with a sense of urgency. Among other things, that means working closely with our federal, state, and local partners through our FBI-led Joint Terrorism Task Forces to ensure that together we stay laser-focused on mitigating threats.
Yellowstone National Park could be sitting on a time bomb. There is a supervolcano underneath the national treasure.
Deep within the serene beauty of Yellowstone National Park, a silent and unseen force is stirring. Hidden from the naked eye, a massive dome-shaped uplift is expanding at an alarming rate. This unexpected geological activity, combined with recent bizarre animal behaviors, paints a picture of a landscape on the brink of profound change. As experts scramble to decode the implications, one thing is clear. Yellowstone is hiding a secret of monumental proportions, and preparedness and planning are now more crucial than ever. The question remains, is Yellowstone's supervolcano about to awaken?
This chamber is absolutely packed full of magma, and an eruption from this could really cause widespread destruction all across that region.
Today, we've compiled 20 intriguing facts that will help you give an answer to this question. Mysterious animal behaviors. Recently, Yellowstone National Park has witnessed a series of unusual animal behaviors that have left scientists and park officials intrigued. Herds of bison, typically known for their predictable migratory patterns, have been seen moving en masse away from the park center. Elk and deer, too, have displayed erratic movements, often venturing into areas they usually avoid. Bird species native to the park have been observed flying in atypical patterns, with some even leaving their established territories. Historically, animals have acted as the Earth's intuitive barometers, their behaviors often signaling impending environmental shifts. Their heightened sensitivity allows them to detect underground tremors, shifts in gas emissions, and other subtle changes that often precede significant geological events, a testament to nature's early warning system. The urgency and scale of these wildlife movements in Yellowstone are alarming. It's as if the very soul of the park is rumbling, sending shockwaves through its inhabitants. If animals are indeed reacting to impending volcanic activity, then their desperate exodus paints a chilling picture. Yellowstone might be on the brink of awakening, and its fury could be unimaginable. Animal whisperers. Long before the advent of modern technology, indigenous tribes around the world have been the original custodians of nature's secrets. These tribes, deeply rooted in their lands, have always possessed an uncanny ability to read the subtle cues of their environment. The Shoshone, Bannock, Crow, Blackfeet, and Nez Perce are among the tribes that have called the Yellowstone region home for millennia. Their intimate knowledge of the land, its animals, and its geothermal features has been passed down through generations, offering a unique perspective on the park's environmental shifts. One of the most profound insights from these tribes was their understanding of Yellowstone's volcanic nature. The Shoshone and Bannock, who frequented the park's geothermal areas for ceremonies and medicinal purposes, recounted legends of the ground breathing, a reference to the geysers and hot springs. They spoke of times when animals fled the region and the earth rumbled more than usual, suggesting that the tribes had witnessed minor volcanic activities or precursors to potential eruptions. The Blackfeet, known for their storytelling prowess, have tales that hint at a time when the sky turned dark and ash rained down, possibly alluding to past volcanic eruptions. Their stories served as both historical records and cautionary tales, emphasizing the need to respect and understand nature's signs. Could the very ground we stand on be moments away from unleashing its wrath? Yellowstone's rising secret, the dome. In the depths of Yellowstone's vast wilderness, a startling discovery has emerged that has left even seasoned geologists astounded. Beneath the mesmerizing vistas and steaming geysers, an enormous dome-shaped uplift lurks, revealing the intense forces churning beneath our very feet. But how did this monumental revelation come to light? The answer lies in cutting-edge technology. Advanced satellite imagery, combined with precise ground-based GPS measurements, unveiled a world previously hidden from human eyes. These tools allowed scientists to map the topography of Yellowstone with unparalleled precision. Measuring the magnitude. As these scientists were analyzing the data they had collected from the park, they began to notice an astonishing pattern. The ground in a specific region of the park was rising, and not just by a negligible amount. Measurements indicated that certain areas had experienced an uplift of several centimeters over a relatively short period. To the untrained eye, this might seem insignificant, but in geological terms, such rapid changes are both rare and deeply troubling. What do the numbers tell us? Initial observations showed that the uplift spanned a staggering 1,500 square kilometers. Within this expanse, the rate of rise varied, with some regions soaring by an incredible 10 centimeters per year. Such rapid deformation is a glaring sign of intense geologic activity beneath the surface. The sleeping giant awakens. But here's the real mystery. This uplift is still increasing in size. What does this mean for Yellowstone and the surrounding region?
We are going straight to the news that's breaking at 9. Yemen's Houthis have joined the Israel-Palestine war. Houthis say they have launched a large number of drones and missiles towards Israel, adding that the attacks will continue until, quote-unquote, Israeli aggression does. This is the Houthi spokesperson, Yahya Sarria.
With the help of God, our armed forces have launched a large barrage of ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as a significant number of drones at various targets of the Israeli army in the occupied territories.
Israel has warned of a possible hostile aircraft intrusion. It also said that a surface-to-surface missile was fired from an area of the Red Sea. In response, for the first time in this war, Israel has used its long-range Arrow air defense system. Israeli troops have also entered Hamas's vast network of tunnels in Gaza. As of 9 p.m. IST and 5:30 p.m. local time, Israel claims it has begun attacking Hamas operatives inside the tunnel. Here's the paradox. As Israeli defense forces zero in on their prime target, the tunnel, the war is expanding and pulling in more regional players. Where is this headed? And where is the end? Also, will Netanyahu be able to see the war to its end? Will the Israeli Prime Minister survive the war? Bibi has made one thing crystal clear. The war is not over, not yet. Ceasefire is not an option. A ceasefire, Netanyahu says, will be the same as surrendering. And Israel is not going to surrender. What will it do then? Netanyahu says his country will fight, it will fight until this battle is won. That's his quote. And here's our question. Will Bibi survive the war? Chances are he could be gone from office before the battle's lost and won. Israel's generals have turned against Netanyahu. This is retired General Naam Thibon. He is calling for Netanyahu to resign. Thibon recently gave an interview to Israel's Channel 12. He said, and I quote, "People have lost their entire sense of security in the past 3 weeks, and therefore I say directly to Netanyahu, take responsibility. Resign now, it will help the campaign." What kind of country risks leadership change in the middle of a war? Theborn is citing the United Kingdom. The British replaced Neville Chamberlain with Winston Churchill in the middle of World War II. So could Netanyahu be the next Chamberlain? Noam's sentiments resonate with a section of Israel's armed forces. On the 7th of October, thousands of Israeli reservists were planning to protest against Netanyahu. It was their weekly campaign against Bibi's politics and policies, especially the judicial overhaul. This protest was called off following Hamas's attack. The reservists prioritized their duty to protect the country. They prioritized security. But here's the thing, the unity against Hamas does not really mean a unified support for Netanyahu's wartime leadership. Also, this war has now become a fight for more than just Israel's security. It has become a war against Gaza's children. For Netanyahu, it appears to have become personal, almost a case of misdirected anger over being caught napping. Whatever be the case, the result is disastrous. The endless bloodshed and the rising civilian death toll is quickly making Israel the villain in this war, not the victim of Hamas's attacks. It is changing the world's perception of the Jewish state. And you know what? Theborn is right. The bad press is not helping Israel's campaign. Netanyahu knows this, but he also knows that once the war ends, questions will follow. The call for accountability will follow, as will judgment. The last time Israel was caught napping was in 1973. There was a surprise attack on Israel on Yom Kippur Day. The attack was led by Egypt and Syria. Golda Meir was in office then. She was the prime minister. She oversaw the victory, but it was not enough to save her political career. The pressure grew from Meir to resign, to pay the price for ignoring warnings from Jordan's King Hussein. He had warned back then that Israel had a war coming with Egypt and Syria, that it was imminent. Meir was forced to step down. That war is etched in Netanyahu's memory. In 1973, Bibi was a student in the United States of America. He had taken the first flight out of Boston to fight in the war. Today, he's the prime minister. He is in Golda Meir's office, and he's facing similar charges. Netanyahu too ignored warnings from neighbors. In fact, Israeli news outlet Ynet had reported that Egypt's intelligence minister, General Abbas Kamel, had personally called Netanyahu days before the attack. Kamel told Bibi that something unusual was going to happen. Bibi was warned about a terrible operation. He did nothing, and Israelis know this. 3 days into the war, there were open calls for Netanyahu to resign. Look now at what this op-ed says. Hamas's surprise attack against Israel is the worst failure in the country's history. It is more serious even than the failure of Yom Kippur. On the 12th of October, Dialogue Center released a poll. In it, 86% of respondents said that the surprise attack from Hamas was the failure of Netanyahu's leadership. 94% of respondents said that the government must bear some responsibility for the lack of security preparedness. 75% said that the government holds most of the responsibility. The October 7th attacks exposed a systemic intelligence and military failure. And above all, the failure of Netanyahu's leadership. Netanyahu can hope that revenge will give Israel a sense of closure, perhaps, and perhaps absolve him of the crime of risking Israel's security. But not every Israeli is mocking Palestinians on TikTok. Most of them don't want to see children being killed, let alone have those children's blood on their hands. Israelis simply want the hostages back. They want their family members back. They want peace, security, and moderation. According to a poll published in Maariv newspaper, almost 49% Israelis want to hold off on an invasion of Gaza. What is Netanyahu offering? For starters, not moderation. He has sent troops into Gaza. Tanks are closing in on Gaza City. Israel's economy is feeling the friction. The cost of the war is reportedly giving Israel a Wuhan virus-like shock. Israeli businesses are suffering. 300 of Israel's most senior economists have called on Netanyahu to divert state funds to deal with the damage from the war. These economists say that the war could cost Israel tens of billions of shekels. What they didn't say is that it could also cost Netanyahu his career. Last Saturday, Netanyahu was asked during a press conference whether he was responsible for what happened on October 7th. Bibi said everyone will have to give answers to hard questions once the war is over. Not everyone in Israel wants to wait until then.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So now that I have stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world. But what exactly is a fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything is happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are.
In the Middle East at this point. But that's about to change because there's a company based in California that wants to explore this vast desert for oil.
11,000 miles from San Francisco, there lies a primeval desert, a mass of drifting sand and sun-baked earth, 1/3 the size of the United States.
This was sort of a risky decision for the California company because first off, they had no idea if there was actually any oil here.
They knew it would mean sinking into the desert the money of thousands of stockholders in a project that might well end in complete loss.
And second off, this desert was a part of a very hardcore religious kingdom.
The fact that Mecca is the source and the shrine of Islam gives Saudi Arabia a central place in the Islamic and therefore the Arab world.
That was home to the holiest sites in Islam, run by a dogmatic royal family that did not like outsiders, especially non-believing Westerners. But even still, the king of the Desert Kingdom eventually gives the California company permission to explore almost 1 million square kilometers of this desert looking for oil. And after a few years, the bet paid off. And on March 3rd, 1938, in this little patch of coastal desert, they struck gold. Well, actually they struck oil, but it might as well have been gold. So throughout the 30s and 40s, American oil executives, workers, and their families started flocking to the Middle East, establishing the first significant American presence in the region. They set up little cities around the oil operation that were little slices of America, full of the deepest sinful behavior, like allowing women to drive and the consumption of alcohol.
Here is another American colony, complete with air-conditioned houses, 2 hospitals, and an outdoor movie theater.
This is the sort of stuff that is very off limits in Saudi Arabia. It's literally illegal at this point. So you have a lot of Saudis who are not happy about their government letting the Americans in to behave however they want. But the oil kept flowing. And soon the US government goes to the royal family and says, listen, the oil is flowing better than ever. This is awesome. How about we build a little military base attached to our little oil city so that we can, you know, protect you and protect us and protect the oil and stuff. And the Saudis are like, okay, having the great Satan come to our country for oil is one thing, but letting them set up a full-on military base on our soil, and especially when like everyone in our country is not happy with their presence in the first place. But, said the royal family, all of this oil is really valuable and it's really nice and we're getting super rich, so they're like, yeah, sure, set up the base. But there was one stipulation that the Saudis had for the Americans. You are not allowed to literally plant a flag, no flagpoles of the United States. You cannot put your flag anywhere on this base. Instead, you can put a little plaque on the side of the building so that your flag is not literally on our soil. And that was the deal. And that's exactly what happened. The US sets up its first military operation in the Middle East in the form of a landing strip that is right next to this oil field. Okay, so all of this infrastructure that the Americans were building required someone to build it. They needed a construction company. And there was one construction company that the Americans really liked that helped them build their oil city and their base. This company was founded and run by a guy named Mohammed. Now listen, do you think I'm really giving you the backstory on the construction company that built the air base in the oil city just because that's interesting and I like to talk about construction? No, this is actually very relevant to the story, and you will see why very soon. So the Americans and the Saudis are having this forbidden oil bromance, and it's going really well, and they are just, the oil is flowing, everyone's getting rich, and meanwhile, the rest of the Middle East is looking at Saudi Arabia and they're like, dude, WTF, why are you like in bed with America? And like, why are you letting them set up a landing strip in your country? And the Saudi royals are like, do you realize how rich we're getting right now? Like, if you were in our position, you would do the same thing, Egypt. Okay, so it's the 1950s, and let's get back to Mohammed, the construction guy. His company, by this point, is thriving. The American presence in oil land is just exploding, and he is building all of the stuff for it. And so this guy is just has a giant business. And he starts to have children. Well, in fact, he had a lot of children, like 54 children, because he had 22 wives, because that is a thing in Saudi Arabia to this day. Anyway, the point is, one of Mohammed's sons is named Osama. I told you this was going to be relevant. Okay, a reminder that Saudi Arabia is not the entire Middle East. So, I'm going to leave the Osama bin Laden cliffhanger for a moment to tell you what else was going on in the Middle East at this time. Remember that it was the hunt for oil that brought the US to Saudi Arabia originally. But now, in the 50s and 60s, there was a new reason for the US to think about the Middle East. And that reason is because there's another big superpower that has nuclear weapons, called the Soviet Union, who is coming into the region and saying to everyone in the Middle East at this point.
Yo, y'all remember Bill Nye the Science Guy? Like, y'all gotta remember Bill Nye. Bill Nye the Science Guy that used to be on the TVs when I was a young boy, you feel me? Bro, I remember when he slipped up and told us, bro. He was the first cousin that told us that we could not leave this shit, you feel me?
I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. The Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
He knew why we couldn't. You feel me? This the boy that invented NASA. This why NASA was invented, because of Von Braun, right? This was Von Braun's tombstone. Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. He already knew. It's really time for y'all niggas to wake up!
It's not a conspiracy anymore. Giant trees really did exist. The sheer size of this in particular living organism is going to blow your mind. It's undeniable at this point. After watching this, you will see that the scriptures were right and the modern movies show the truth in plain sight. I just want to add, you're going to find out what quartz really is. Watch till the end. Enjoy.
Wow. Look at this. This is amazing. This looks like just an old rotted piece of wood. This is truly amazing. Where are your gloves? Well, you can't complain about getting stickers then. Look at this. This is what the weather does. It smooths it and rounds it. See, that looks like it's a whole bunch of different rings, but it's not. It's part of one massive ring. That's just the way the fibers are in the trees. Look at this, it's so incredible. It really is. Everything in the Black Hills, everything is the exact same thing. Hey, Marvin, you're gonna have to come up here and film this whole thing for your... Look at that. I'm showing you how the tree breaks apart many times because of the fiber. Look at this. Look at close. These are trees stood in their glory, way beyond the clouds. The branches shadowed entire nations. Most people live by faith alone. Some people don't even care. But you don't have to live by faith alone, because you can get to know him through his creation. You can see it. So much beauty out of such great destruction. Oh, Lord. So you see, I've shown you the lichen, the moss. It's hard to see. So here's some of the original color, but nothing like I'm going to show you in a minute. All right, we're gonna move on here. I just want you to look at this one last time. Look at that. Wow. Hey, Grace. Now you stay up there. show you real quick. So this is what the tree does, okay? All these gaps and ledges and edges, and then it breaks down into all these little pieces like this. And you see the rings in them, okay? So let's go right up here. So I've told you that quartz is the petrified sap. So them little pieces that I just showed you, these are just a couple, for example. They're everywhere for a 100-mile radius. These are the little pieces, okay? You come right up here, I'm going to show you. This is just another one of them, another incredible finds where you can see the color of the wood. First, I want to show you that is the sap in these biblical trees that petrified. Look at this. This is stone, but this is so preserved. It doesn't even look petrified. It looks fresh. So each one of these is not a ring. The tree's like fibers. This whole thing could have been part of one ring that was feet upon feet thick. But look at this. Incredible. And that's the sap that petrified. It's what they call quartz in today's world. So gold and quartz, they always run together unless they've been separated through hard rock mining or pieces falling down, breaking, getting into the river, into the ground. But the gold originated in the trees. It was liquid inside the trees, just like most of all the other metals and minerals on the periodic table. It came from the biblical trees, plants, shrubs, bushes, and vegetation. It's kind of like, you know, they put truth in plain sight all the time. Like, you look at Avatar, how they plug into the trees. They were alive. Not saying that's what man did, but the trees were special. There's energy all around us. It's a common denominator, people.
Thanks for watching. Big thanks to Hangman1128 on YouTube. His efforts are very much appreciated. Thank you, brother. Remember to like, comment, and follow at Mike Priest ARR for more content like this.